Welcome in everybody for a special sit-down interview with Shelby County Schools Superintendent Dr. Lewis Brooks. I'm Alec Etheridge, General Manager here at Shelby County Newspapers alongside Dr. Brooks. We appreciate you for joining us this morning. And
Alec, thank you for having me.
yeah, we're going to obviously, Dr. Brooks recently sworn in for his second term as superintendent here of Shelby County Schools. So one thing, Dr. Brooks, that I kind of want to sit down and talk with you about is just obviously, you know, the first 4 years in this position and now transitioning into that second 4 years and everything that's to come. But if you just kind of want to start and tell us a little bit about the experience that you've had through your first full term here as the superintendent.
Sure. Well, listen, certainly, you know, any experience that you have in this business is always a good one. I think for us, and you know, your wife's in education, we do this because we love children. And so I would say in the first 4 years, you know, my experience was a myriad of things, you know, certainly rewarding because you get an opportunity to see kids have great experiences, to see them graduate, to see them participating in activities, to see them go on and do other things. And so with that, that is always the greatest reward. Of course, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my first term being a great challenge, because as you know, we dealt with COVID, lots of chances for kids to miss school, lots of decisions that had to be made that were quite challenging. So there was some difficulty there, but probably the best thing about that experience is that I have a great team of people to work with. So we feel like we tried to make the best decisions for our kids to be in school. We feel like our data is reflective of that. You know, even though we had some times when we weren't in school, and we feel like our kids through it all had some great experiences. So again, just a myriad of emotions and things that you go through in the first term. But again, I would always say when I look into the faces of our kids, it is, you know, continues to be the most rewarding thing that I do every day. So
yeah. Well, you mentioned COVID. Obviously, that was a big topic early in your tenure as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But one of the things I want to know is kind of going back to the beginning when you decided to run for this position, I guess close to six years ago now. Yeah. What was that decision process like? What was it that made you want to go after this role?
Well, that's a great question. I think, you know, you spend a career, this is now, you know, 20 plus years of a 33 career year that I've spent in leadership. And so I don't think that I ever, you know, the goal at the beginning was you're going to be the superintendent. I think the goal was always to find those opportunities to lead and do the right thing and encourage people and build leadership capacity in people. And so having the opportunity to be the assistant superintendent and having the opportunity to work with Randy Fuller, who you know, many people know was my high school coach, someone who had been influential on me for a long time. I think just seeing his path to leading this district for 12 years was inspiring. I think also the relationship that I had with leaders before him, you know, they were inspiring as well and encouraging. And so it was one of those things that I felt like, you know, why not? This is something that I feel, you know, I felt that I could do. Certainly confidence with humility, but I wanted to be a person that was in a position to influence, you know, a greater audience than what I was doing. So just very blessed to have been selected by the citizens of this county, and you know, I take that very seriously because people in this county have trusted you with their most precious possession, which is their children. And so again, every single day you're focused on what are the things that you can do to help your students have better opportunities. And that kind of continues to be the goal moving forward.
What was the comfortability like coming into the role? You've been a part of it a little bit before. I don't know that you can ever fully feel comfortable with everything that you're responsible for, but what was that like shifting into that position as well?
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that there was, a level of comfort. Leadership is uncomfortable. There are things that you have to do, people that you have to engage with, challenges that you have to deal with face to face. So, the word comfort, I'm not sure. I think there's discomfort every day. I think a lot of it is about how you work with that discomfort or how you manage situations, how you approach them. I think the thing that you have to do is, never take yourself too seriously. And I think the other thing that you have to do is never take anything personally, because, we talked about COVID and, there were a lot of, the world we live in, it's social media, it's people having a voice to say what they want to say. And, you have to really process that because, sometimes there are attacks, there are personal attacks. And again, if I took all of those to heart, I'm not sure that I can be the best leader that I can be for the people of this district, our employees, or for our kids. So again, it's never taking yourself too seriously and never taking anything personally is probably my best approach to it. So
we'll talk a little bit more about that, because that's one of the things that impressed me the most, and really across the state in general, was this pandemic is thrown at us and nobody knows how to handle it, but everybody out there thinks they have the answer.
Oh, sure.
So to be in a leadership role during that time and to make decisions, what was the stress level like during that time, and what was the process like getting through those decisions?
Well, the stress level was high. The stress level was high. The decisions were, there was no right decision. I recently shared with someone that in every situation, you're making a decision about personal health, and you have I don't have a medical degree. So you're having to listen to pediatricians and epidemiologists and other individuals that are sharing things with you. You also have to kind of find your way through the various political narratives that went on with this whole situation and what people believed, what they didn't believe. And you have to really just try to make the best decision for the whole of the community that you're dealing with. And again, there were some decisions that people didn't agree with, but those decisions were made in the best interest of our kids, and as important, to keep them in school. That was the big thing. I can't tell you, every night I was on the phone with our lead nurse till about 10 o'clock at night. I mean, sitting in, my room, just talking to her through all these different challenges. And I would have probably been on the phone with several pediatricians during the course of the day that had a different opinion. And parents that had a different opinion. And so, again, what decision are you going to make? Because whatever decision you make, somebody's going to be upset about it. And, it came down to several things. Are you going to, I had to think about kids and their health. I had to think about the possibility of losing an employee or a student, or what I thought was best. And all those things it's just a big mesh of probably insanity. But again, you take a deep breath, you process the information, you talk to the people that can help you get through it, who have some expertise. And again, we just tried to make the right decisions. I'm not ever going to say everyone was right, but reflecting back, we were able to keep our kids in school and didn't necessarily struggle academically as much as other districts across the state. So, again, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of how our kids responded. I'm proud of how our staff responded. So, yeah, it was a challenging time, for sure.
Yeah. I was going to ask you how proud you were of how y'all handled getting through that. You kind of touched on it there, but also how did it kind of change y'all's approach moving forward after that and to where you've gotten at this point now?
Well, there were a lot of things that we were doing during the pandemic that we felt like were good things to change. And of course, change is difficult in any business. And so there are some things that we've kept going. For example, we started our year with a staggered schedule. We've done that for the last couple of years. Of course, we'll be analyzing that as we go through our calendar committee this year. But just little things like that. I think now we can change on a dime, because we have Chromebooks for all of our students. We're a one-to-one pretty much district. So in case of severe weather, we can change on a dime if we need to and go have a virtual day. So there were lots of things that we felt like, were positive that came out of it, that give us an opportunity to do something different. And of course, we all still feel like face-to-face instruction with a teacher is the best way. But now there are situations that could come up that cause us to pivot, and we feel like we have good processes in place to pivot if we need to.
Yeah. What about the teachers? Not only what they bring to the table on a daily basis, but during that time and since then, just the work that they've put in as well.
Well, it's their efforts and their dedication to their students and their schools. It's just unmatched. It's the thing that it's the thing that keeps you going, to see their hard work and them dealing with uncertainty with their own personal health, dealing with uncertainty with their families. But they, our teachers, our leaders in our buildings, we just stayed the course. And, it's one of those things where you just, you appreciate it so much because obviously, your leadership team and the decisions that you were making, people were trusting that you were doing the right thing. And so I can't say enough about our teachers in this district and what they did in schools and the challenges that they faced. It's unmatched, and again, it's part of why we believe our district is the best district in the state, just because of how our folks respond, but more so how they love their work, love their kids, and how they pour into them.
Well, just kind of going back to the beginning again as we transition into this next term, what were some of your goals or your hopes when you took over the position in that first term? And then we'll kind of jump into that same thing with this term as well.
Sure. Yeah, the first term, I was really wanting to focus on how we engage the community. We wanted to really do things to engage the community. So we started a program called All Pro Dad, where we had our dads come in. As you know, this is a female-dominated profession. I think it's been amazing to see how that program has worked. We started what we call voice advisory meetings, where we met with parents and teachers. We wanted everyone, or I wanted everyone, to have a voice in how we shape the district moving forward. We were not able to do as many of those as I wanted to do, but we had those committees in every community. We met with them, we met with teachers. There were some things that we were able to tweak at particular schools, just because this is what parents and teachers thought were valuable. So that was important to me. I think focusing on how we make a shift in our instructional practice was important to me, because as you and I spoke prior to us starting, kids are different these days, and we have to try to find ways to keep them engaged. And sometimes it's about technology, Sometimes it's about project-based learning, so we've tried to do that. And I think another thing that was important to me in the first term was like more opportunities for dual enrollment, more partnerships with organizations, so that we could enhance our career tech programs. And so with that said, these are some of the things that we're looking to do moving forward. We're working right now and having some discussion around a new medical diagnostic program at Calera High School. We're in dialogue right now with the University of Montevallo for a dual enrollment partnership. Yeah, lots of things going on with that. The other thing that's important to me in the next term is really enhancing leadership development. We really want to develop leaders from kindergarten through our board members. I want to be a better leader, so leadership development is going to be a big push for us, in this next term as well. So
Yeah, I like that. I know that just locally, leadership Shelby County does a great job with leaders around the county. So finding ways, we've got the youth leadership Shelby County as well. So finding ways for the students across the county to have those leadership skills that are going to pay off for them.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of research on it. Lots of books. I have lots of books and notes on my table over here because we've been trying to develop something for ourselves that is not adding to the curriculum, but it's something that enhances the curriculum, that gives kids an opportunity to really be involved in leadership opportunities. One of our amazing teachers, John Milton from Oak Mountain, he hosts a leadership summit. We've done it for the last few years at one of the local churches, and it's been a great initiative. It's been big. Kids really enjoyed that. We want to push the envelope a little bit with that and extend it to middle school, extend it to 5th grade, and give kids those same opportunities that these high school kids have had for the last few years. So that's something that we're talking about. But again, just developing this program that we're going to call Ready to Lead, something that our teachers can embed in what they're doing. And we feel like we'll be getting our kids ready to lead in a very complex world.
Well, kind of building off of that, that sounds like a big goal and something that would be an important accomplishment. Just looking across what you've been able to do so far, what the board's been able to do, and what's happened in your tenure so far, what would you say has been one of the biggest accomplishments for y'all the last few years?
As I mentioned, staying the course of teaching and learning through the challenges. I think I'm really proud of the fact that we've been able to launch a capital campaign, and we're doing some classrooms and additions across our county. We've been able to support every community. Certainly we want to try and continue to find ways to do that through some partnerships and such. So again, a lot of things that I'm proud of. I'm proud of our teachers. We're getting ready to celebrate, some teachers that just finished their national board certification, which is the highest honor for them in teaching. And so things like that continue to be important to our teachers, our school community. And I'm proud of the fact that we can kind of continue to embrace what makes Shelby County a great place for learning, great place to live. It's a great community, and schools become the centerpiece of this community. And I know how important that is. So moving forward, we just want to make sure that our schools continue to be the places where people gather, where our kids have the best opportunity to learn, where they're happy, where they have adults that they trust, outside of their home. So, again, I could probably go on and on, but again, I'm proud that through all of the chaos of what we dealt with COVID, what we dealt with tornadoes in our county on the north end and right here in Columbiana. I'm just proud of our resolve, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's been an interesting 4 years with a lot of those things, because those tornadoes were something that caused a lot of havoc across several big communities in this area. So,
but it really showed the heart of our communities. I remember walking through Eagle Point delivering like food and things to families, and I was just amazed at how everyone rallied around these communities. We had food and other resources stocked at Shelby County High School for families, and again, that just shows that you're in a place where families care about families, and people are looking to do the right thing and serve one another, and that's what it's all about. A spirit of service.
And I know y'all use the slogan "Together" a lot as well, and that's almost the definition of it right there.
Yeah. Well, we probably didn't realize how important that whole term was going to be. So.
Well, just looking at your job in particular, obviously the stresses that come along with it, but what is it that gets you up every morning to want to be in this position?
The kids. I mentioned earlier, yesterday I was with a group of kids from Calera High School. They have a podcast, and just being around the kids was amazing. There was one young man that I've forged a relationship with, and I know his personal challenges, and so just to be able to support him through those challenges, that keeps you motivated. I'll tell you another quick deal. I was at a basketball game recently. Sometimes you're always recognized when you walk in a suit and tie or whatever. So I actually had sweats on. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get to just kind of sit back and relax. And of course that didn't happen. But the best part of that night was I was walking over at halftime to go to the concession stand. And all of a sudden I see this fourth grader just running toward me and just grabbed me around the legs for a big hug. And again, that is what keeps you motivated, because that fourth grade kid has a relationship with a superintendent. And for me, I always said that I wasn't going to be this ivory tower leader. I'm going to be on the ground where kids know you and parents know you and trust you. And so that is the thing that keeps me going. And the relationships that I have with kids is just really, it always has been important to me. So the difference now is that this is the second generation, so I have parents that I taught, and I've got their kids, now. So it's amazing. I was talking to a cheerleader from Vincent Monday night. Her mom came over before, and she was one of my students, and she was saying that her daughter was driving now. And then the daughter came over and was like, "Yeah, I got my driver's license." I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to stay off the road if you're driving." But just, what I mean, that is the thing that keeps you going. It keeps, it's the thing that motivates you.
Yeah, seeing the generations and the families that buy in and stay and recognize you, and you build those relationships over time, definitely is an important part of it. So
the kid that came over when I was at the basketball game, the fourth grader, I was her dad's principal.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when you walk into a place, even in the sweats, you're normally one of the tallest people in there too. So tough to hide.
Yeah, I can't hide from anyone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Dr. Brooks, we appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Yeah, we appreciate everything you've done the last several years, and look forward to what you have to come ahead. And hopefully, no more pandemics, no more tornadoes, and we'll have a smooth run these next several years.
Absolutely.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in. This is part of a new digital campaign that we're trying here at Shelby County Newspapers. Hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate Dr. Brooks for joining us today, and we'll be back soon.